Hello everyone. We have a new topic today. We will discuss about understanding RAID, or should we call it RAID levels, with disk failures and disk additions, and also with installation process. So for introduction, definition of RAID stands for Redundant Array of Independent Disks. It's a data storage technology that combines multiple physical drives into a single logical unit to improve performance, redundancy, and data protection. Importance of RAID. RAID configurations are essential for businesses and organizations as they provide fault tolerance, data redundancy, increased storage capacity, and improved performance. So, RAID 0, redundant array of independent disk level 0. For the meaning, RAID 0, also known as disk stripping, splits data evenly across two or more disks without redundancy. It enhances data access speeds but does not provide fault tolerance. So, for installation process, steps to install RAID 0: access, RAID configuration, enter the system, BIOS, or RAID configuration utility during the boot process. Configure RAID within the RAID configuration utility. Select RAID 0 as the desired RAID level. Step 3 is initialize and format. Once RAID 0 is configured, initialize the RAID array and format it using disk management tools like disk management in Windows or disk utility in Mac OS. Step 4, complete installation. Follow on screen prompt to complete the RAID 0 installation process. So for RAID 0, initial data distribution. Initially, the text file is spread across both disks in the RAID 0 array, which enhance performance through data stripping. So single disk failure. If one disk fails in RAID 0, the entire array becomes inaccessible, resulting in the loss of all data stored on RAID 0 lacks fault tolerance or redundancy. Adding another disk. Since RAID 0 doesn't support redundancy or rebuilding, adding a new disk doesn't reconstruct the data. Instead, it forms a new RAID 0 array with increased storage capacity, leading to the loss of the original data. Next, we have redundant array of independent disk level 1. So meaning, known as disk mirroring, duplicates data across two or more disks to provide redundancy and fault tolerance. It ensures data protection by maintaining identical copies of data on mirrored disk. Steps to install: access RAID configuration access. So same with the RAID level 0. Configure RAID 1 and the RAID configuration utility. Choose RAID 1 as the desired RAID level. Create mirrored array. Create a mirrored RAID array by selecting the disk to be mirrored. Step 4, initialize and format. So initialize the RAID 1 array and format it using disk management tools. And for finish installation, follow on-screen instructions to complete RAID 1 installation and synchronization of mirrored disk. So for RAID 1 data mirroring, so the text file is measured across both disks in the RAID 1 array, providing redundancy and data protection. Single disk failure. If one disk fails in RAID 1, the array remains operational and the data remains accessible from the surviving disk. The RAID 1 array continues to function with reduced redundancy until the failed disk is replaced. Adding another disk. Integrating a new disk in a RAID 1 array typically involves duplicating the existing data onto the new disk, effectively reconstructing the array with restore redundancy. So, for RAID 3, RAID 3 or parity on separate disk. So meaning RAID 3 employs disk stripping with dedicated parity, storing data across multiple disks along with dedicated parity disk for fault tolerance and data recovery. So for installation, same enter BIOS or RAID configuration utility. So step 2, select RAID 3 as the desired RAID level within the configuration utility. And step 4, set up parity disk. Specify a dedicated disk for parity information during RAID 3 configuration. And for step 4, initialize the format. Initialize the RAID 3 array and format it using disk management tools. And for step 5, the complete setup. Follow prompt to finalize RAID 3 installation and parity configuration. So for data distribution, the text file is distributed across multiple data disks in the RAID array with the parity information stored on the dedicated parity disk. So for single disk failure, if one data disk fails in RAID 3, the array remains operational and the missing data can be reconstructed using the parity information stored in the dedicated parity disk. So for adding another disk, incorporation a new disk into the RAID 3 array necessitates rebuilding the array by dispersing data across the new disk and computing parity information accordingly. And for the RAID 5 or redundant array of independent disk level 5, so its meaning is utilize disk stripping with distributed parity. So spreading data and parity information across multiple disks for fault tolerance and data recovery. For installation, access the system BIOS or RAID configuration also. So step 2, configure RAID 5. Choose the RAID 5 as the desired RAID level within the configuration utility. Set up parity distribution. Specify distributed parity across disks during RAID 5 configuration. For step 4, initialize the format. Initialize the RAID 5 array and format it using disk management tools. So for finalize the installation, follow on-screen instructions to finalize RAID 5 setup and distribute parity configurations. So for RAID 5, data distribution with parity. So similar to RAID 3, the text file is spread across multiple data disks in the RAID 5 array, with parity information dispersed across all disks for augmented fault tolerance. For single disk failure, if data disk fails in RAID 5, the array remains functional and absent data can be reconstructed using the parity information spread across the remaining disks. Adding another disk Adding another disk to RAID 5 array entails rebuilding the array by redistributing data and recalculating parity information across all disks. And that's it. Thank you.